3.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. It's IHIP News Day. How are you, Pumps?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Fantastic. But sadly, in talking about the news that is important to us, I realize we have been remiss in discussing the horrible Dobbs decision.
Absolutely. A travesty, truly.
So, viewer, we live in Oklahoma City, which is a part of Abortion Ban America. And it was an immediate, they couldn't ban it fast enough.
Correct.
And in researching this, we're up to around 24 states that ban abortion now in the United States of America. Of course, the southern states were the first to do this. The most religious states, the poorest states, red states, as everybody knows, have higher instances of poverty. And interestingly, higher evangelical Christianity. And you would think that these states would have higher maternal benefits.
You would think that based on the rhetoric.
They don't. These states that have the most radical bans have the weakest maternal support.
Very little social support is supported by these red states. They don't want to put any money into a safety net for poor people.
No. And what they do is they demean people that are in the poverty cycle. They ridicule people that are on food stamps or that need government assistance. They're labeled as moochers. And it is this really cruel way to traffic in politics, wherein I mostly see where we live, where evangelical Christianity reigns, I see this form of Christianity being so incredibly cruel to people that do not excel at capitalism or who get trapped in the bottom pits of the poverty cycle, which it is so hard to get out of. All of this is exacerbated by not having access to abortion care and reproductive care. This will keep people trapped in the poverty cycle for generations.
Absolutely.
Here's a prime example. If I had a daughter and my daughter were to get pregnant for however means she got pregnant, and she wished not to carry that baby to term, I would buy 2 airplane tickets to a blue state, and I would get a safe, legal, medical abortion outside of this hellscape that we live in. And we would come back. She would be able to live her life as she chooses. That is because I have the financial privilege to do that. Sadly, who these laws harm are the lowest among us. Specifically, it really, really hurts Black and brown communities and minority communities.
It's so unbelievable, the hypocrisy you see from the religious sect of the country, that they are so pro-life, but yet once the child is born, they are not pro-life. They are I don't give a fuck.
I think that's one of their biggest, most insidious lies that continues to be perpetuated, that they care so much about children.
Right.
They refuse to fund education. There's hardly any programs for maternal care. This is not a group of people that support and wrap their arms around single mothers. To the contrary, they're going to make you have this baby and carry it to term. And then once you're a single mother, then they're going to say, what's wrong with America is we don't have any dads in it because masculinity is under attack, and these radical feminists. And a lot of what these laws are just institutionalized misogyny.
Absolutely.
Here's the saddest thing, a report that came out in the last month. 65,000 pregnancies have been carried to term from rape in these states that have an abortion ban. And 70% of Americans over 70% of Americans support abortion in cases of rape. So we have this crazy dogmatic minority rule of Christian nationalists. And they always say, we're the silent majority. And it's like, no, you're not silent.
Right. You're the loudest motherfuckers on the planet.
Nor are you a majority. You are a fever pitch minority. And what's so scary about this abortion thing is these people played the long game.
Mm-hmm.
They set their sights on it a long, long time ago. And they started at the court, and they get these fools like, Mitch McConnell and just completely morally bankrupt people. And all of it is to control women because their policies have proven that they don't care about children.
No.
Their policies have proven that they don't care about embracing women who are struggling to raise children. Their policies have proven they don't care about any of that. So it leads you to believe that this is all about control. But this is the only form of healthcare that a person has to prove a crime in order to receive it.
That's so obscene.
Right.
It's obscene.
And these are I like America because we're free.
Right.
America is freedom. And when I think about it, I think, what is the psychology behind their desire to do this? Because it's abundantly obvious with their votes. And if you turn on Fox News, how demeaning and cruel they are to the poorest members of our country. So they don't care about that. We know that. So what is it? So in getting back into that echo chamber, you hear them talk about masculinity's under attack and these women that don't have children, these childless women. And then within the religion, there's all this focus on virginity.
Right.
And so I don't know, I'm no psychiatrist, but it seems to me like they want all women that have had sex identified.
Right.
And maybe in their mind, a woman that has a child is less fuckable to them or is somehow punished by having that child, where there's no accountability for the men. They never pass a law that, if a woman is pregnant, the man has to immediately start paying child support. They don't recognize it as a life until the baby's born as far as paternal payments.
Right. Well, and that's what's so infuriating about the whole thing to me, as we've often discussed. The science behind getting men an erection at 90 years old is state of the art, the best there is. If we wanted to control birth and birth rates by going into the male scrotum and legislating that, it would never happen. It's only about the women. But what I want to do is I want to get right in the male testicle.
Yeah.
I want to stop the problem before it starts. I want to pass laws.
Sorry, viewer. It was teed up. All right, go on.
I want to pass laws regulating where their sperm can go, how much of their sperm can be ejaculated in a certain period of time, because I think that would equalize this issue. Because I guarantee you, none of these people want anybody in their scrotum. That's my number one complaint. My second complaint with the whole thing is that these people that were throwing a temper tantrum about, you can't tell me that I have to wear a mask during a global pandemic because that's my right. I'm free. This is America. So we can't ask you to wear a mask during a global pandemic, but you want to come right into someone's uterus and make decisions about their family going forward, and most importantly, their bodily autonomy. So it just goes all through me, the hypocrisy of that. So number one, I want to get right in the testicle. I want to just start right there.
Well, and there's so much hubris from these politicians because number one, they are not physicians.
No,
they're not. They do not know all of the situations wherein abortion care is required. So then if you start legislating that, then you start violating constitutional protections of privacy. It's really not the government's business if you do a genetic testing on your child and it's determined to hardly have any brain capacity, and you and your spouse or you as a single mother determined to decide to terminate that pregnancy. That's really not the government's business. But what the small government alpha males want to do is to legislate the uterus of women, because this is institutionalized misogyny. They see that women now have jobs, are giving the traditional role that the Bible wants us to have, the middle finger. We have our own escape plans from marriages that we might deem abusive or not successful for our inner self to thrive in. And they want to keep women hunkered down and submissive to men. And a way to do that is to control our uteruses. I get furious every time I am watching some sporting event and I'm forced to watch commercials when I'm not streaming. And there are all of these commercials for erectile dysfunction and how you can just log online or download the app and you can fill out a little questionnaire, and then the doctor will mail you your penis pills so that you can have an 8-hour erection. And it's like they're dunking on us all the time.
Right.
It's like, capitalism is all chips in for the erection. And then when it comes to women, there's so much shame that still permeates all through society about a woman that has sex that might want to terminate a pregnancy. And then it gets into the rape issue, which these 60,000, 65,000 plus pregnancies is a conservative estimate, but they resulted from 500,000 rapes.
It's just heartbreaking. It seems inhumane.
Yeah. And then you got the Speaker of the House, who is the biggest pro-lifer on the planet, who is all up in his own daughter's business with the purity ring, which I think is weird as shit. But here's something he tweeted after Roe v. Wade was overturned. We will get the number of abortions to 0. He is, number one, not a physician.
Correct.
Number two, he is not a woman. Number three, he is not a rational human being. He believes that he has private conversations with God wherein God tells him he's Moses. This is who the United States of America is electing groups of people like this to make decisions in a free society. The rest of the world looks at this and is terrified because this is handmade tale. It's institutionalized misogyny. And I'm just going to tell you, I've had it.
I've had it. It's so gross. It seems unbelievable to me that my daughter would have less rights than I did growing up at her age. I mean, it just is like, how did we get here?
How we got here is these people are ambitious about taking rights away from people. And they set a plan many, many decades ago. And they organized and they started getting people through the government, and they got them to the Supreme Court. And after Roe v. Wade was overturned, some women in Oklahoma City, in my neighborhood, which I would say is a purple bluish neighborhood, had a big meeting to figure out how can we mobilize, because everybody was so impacted by it.
Absolutely.
And there was this woman there. And the house was full. They sent out a text 48 hours prior, and there were probably 300 women that showed up at this house. And there was a woman there that says, and she's dead serious, she said, well, Brett Kavanaugh lied. He said that he wouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. And I thought to myself, some of these like people that vote Republican for their finances, they don't want to look at the big picture. They only think about themselves. Of course, we knew he was lying.
When his first lie.
We knew Coney Barrett was lying. We knew all of them were lying. I mean, everybody's known what this agenda is because they've shown us exactly what they want to do with this issue. Clarence Thomas left some breadcrumbs in the decision that he wanted to go after gay marriage and, bizarrely, interracial marriage.
That was so strange, as he is in an interracial marriage.
And then Mitch McConnell, who's married to an Asian woman, like, didn't he vote against?
Yes.
It's insane how there is a group of people that carry on these policies for this sect of the country that is stuck in another century with their Bible thought, and they think they're above criticism.
Right.
Anybody who criticizes any facet of their religion, they're intolerant of hearing it. So they can't allow even an inch in to the brain, because the whole thing is built on a house of cards. And it's the easiest thing to pick a card out of that thing. The whole foundation of it falls down. But it's such a flimsy stack of cards. But they have played the long game with this. And liberals have underestimated how ambitious this craziness is. And they got the court, and there's no oversight in the court, as I think we're going to do an episode on soon. But it's horrifying living in a state and looking around at the people and thinking these people parade around like they're so Christian and they care so much and they have such little judgment. And it's the most morally bankrupt group of people I've ever seen in my life, quite frankly. They're wound up about insignificant things, and they could care less about genuine human suffering among the most marginalized of us. And when they see the most marginalized, they find a way to shame them and ridicule them. And they care more about, well, is she saved, than they do about, are they fed?
Absolutely.
I've had it. I've had it with this. I hope that everybody gets out in droves and sends a resounding message for this one issue alone, that this is internalized misogyny, and women have come way too far in this country to have rights taken away from us.
I couldn't agree more. I thought you said it very, very well.
All right, that's it.
We'll see you when we feel like it.
That's right.